Hi, what's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another panel show. Let's introduce the panel. First up, Lee McQueen. Welcome back. How you doing, my friend?
All good, my man. All good. Still buzzing from the weekend, boys. So yeah, I'm really pleased to get into it and representing the last one on Spurs, as you well know, today on your fantastic channel. So yeah, looking forward to getting into it, mate.
Yeah, good to have you, man. Good to have you. And another returning guest, the Irish Hotspur, Dave. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm absolutely good, gentlemen. You know, great off the point at the library there at the weekend. Bit upset. I didn't get down to get my Gary Neville Barnett sorted out today because of torrential rain. But look, you know, not in a result against Liverpool won't sort out.
100%. Sim, all good?
Yeah, all good. I'm just absolutely drinking in those Gooner tears at the moment. They were so confident for the North London derby. I was watching all the previews, and I don't think I saw one Arsenal fan, not even like say a close game. They all said 5-1.
Didn't even come into their thinking that they could.
Didn't even come thinking we can maybe lay a glove on them. They're like the audacity apparently we had to just play football against them, and it's so good to see them. Basically been proved wrong, and I've been loving it, and look, makes me excited for the weekend.
I can't wait, Sim. Just on that, I can't wait to see Jurgen Klopp's tears at the weekend. There's going to be a few. And by the way, Merson, I don't know if any of you've seen it, but Merson he's on Sky tonight, and he's just come out and publicly apologised for his ridiculous statement. So I think, yeah, there's a nice little feather in the cap there for sure, boys.
Yeah, it's nice seeing them kind of crawl back with their tails between their legs. I mean, Ian Wright as well coming out and giving us some nice words. So happy days. But look, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the game from the weekend at the Emirates. The question is, did we deserve more from the game, Lee? Because in my opinion, I think a draw was maybe a fair result. We played very well, but Arsenal had their own chances as well. But what's your opinion? Do you think that we deserved more from the game?
Before I answer that, Ben, how many times you watched it back?
Quite a few.
Guilty.
Quite a few.
I've watched it 3 times. I actually do think it was a fair result. I was actually on Harry's scarf. You know, Harry does a channel as well. I was on his channel just before to do a preview of the game, and I actually said it'd be 2-2. I think I copied you, Sim, to be fair. I think you went for 2-2 as well. I think
I did a 3-2 Spurs there.
I did you 3-2, yeah. So I
overconfident.
went for Desmond, but I said to my mate, I was watching it with my mate Steph at his house, and I never normally go. It's the worst fixture for me, lads. I absolutely hate it. I never go. I've been once to the Emirates away, so I know you boys were there. It's absolutely sick, but I've only been once. So if I can't get a ticket to be in the game, I don't like going out. Just watch it at home. But I went round my mate's house, and by the time, I think it was the 76th, 77th minute, I said, it doesn't matter what happens now. We've proven to everybody that's written us off that we are back. And yeah. it was that's what meant more, I think, than actually, like, don't get me wrong, of course, didn't want to lose, and we didn't. But the question that you asked me was, did we deserve more? Man, Richarlison, man, I've watched his back a few times. I've thought he's fingers and everything. That was going in, and I think Raya's beaten as well. And also, Porro, if he hits that no-look, almost like a no-look pass or a first-time pass, man, Sonny is in the back of the net. So, but equally, you can say that about Jesus, you know what I mean, when Madders caught him, and if they go 2-0 up, it's a different game. So I think on reflection, it's a fair result. If you look at it and go 35 minutes, maybe to Arsenal, I think I agreed with you, Ben. I watched your show in a week, and you said about first 15, 20 minutes, we did look a bit under the cosh, to be fair. And you'd expect that, boys, wouldn't you? And viewers and listeners, you'd expect that. But I think after that, certainly after 35 minutes, it was all Spurs. Even up until when I watched it back, I thought it was when the substitutes went off. But when I watched it back, I think it was up to 80th minute, 85 minutes. We were, and then we still had 2 chances after that as well. So I think it was a fair result. And we'd have all taken, let's be brutally honest, right? We'd have all taken a draw, wouldn't we, before going in behind enemy lines, and we got the point, and we move on. I think we've shown certainly that lot down the road that they can't write us off, and they know they're reacting the way they're reacting because they know we are back, baby, and I'm loving it.
Ange Ball is here to stay, but Dave, do you think we deserved a bit more from the game?
Yeah, 100%. Look, if you want me to be brutally honest, I think we were up
I do
against
want you to
12
be
men.
brutally honest.
Yeah, look, I thought we were up against 12 men. The referee, I thought, was an absolute disgrace, and I think he earned Arsenal that point. To be honest with you, outside of, the 2 goals, what did Arsenal have? The 2 Jesus chances. They didn't really create anything much more outside of that. And at the first goal, I do put down to that booking on Adoji, which I think was extremely harsh, considering Saka fouled him twice before that. And, as we know, Adoji can't make a challenge on Saka within the next 5-10 minutes. So that's a second yellow and he's off. And that's where Saka got his only joy of the game, was just after that moment. Then you look at the handball incident. For me, look, I think if it wasn't giving it to me up the other end, I'd go absolutely berserk. I think it is a penalty. But my problem is how long they took to come to that decision, that there's obviously a few different viewpoints on it and no one's really sure whether it is a penalty or not. So if you're not sure, then in my opinion, you don't give it. So I actually do think that the referee had a lot to play, including booking the likes of Sarr and Basuma as well, back to back. And I think the yellow cards that he dished out were in crucial positions for Tottenham. But look, we held our own. The youngsters, the likes of Sarr and Adoji, to be in the Lions den with the pressure on them, the crowd against them, the referee giving them bookings for them to still stand up, get around the pitch, make tackles, work hard for Tottenham and not shy away. When you look at Odegaard, the cheap cleaning product, he shied away. He went absolutely anonymous. So for me, I think definitely we deserve the win. You look at Richarlison, couple of chances near the end, like Lee said, with Pedro Porro's ball. On another day, that one's in front of Sonny. That's his hat trick. And then Brendan Johnson had a couple of chances as well. So if you made a sweet connection with the one in the first half, you probably get out of there with a win. I think absolutely we deserved it. But look, expectations, right? If you would have said to me, heading into the Liverpool game with Man United and Arsenal then at the Emirates, you're going to go in there unbeaten at the start of this project after losing your star man in the summer, changing your leadership in the summer, a lot of new sort of debuts going into that North London derby. I would have snapped your hand off. And I think when I walk away from that, we're six games, 7 if you want to include Fulham, into the rebuild. They're 5 years, 750 million deep into Arteta's rebuild. And both sets of fans walk away knowing that Tottenham's rebuild is more exciting and going more places quicker than what Arsenal have done with their rebuild and the amount of money they spent. I actually predict there's trouble on the horizon for Arteta.
I love that prediction. Absolutely love it.
Nice.
But I think when you take the whole game into account, especially the first 20 minutes, like Lee said, I said, we did come under the cosh. We did look nervy. Adoji was making mistakes. Basuma was making mistakes. Basuma didn't look like the player he's been all season in that first half. And Maddison obviously getting robbed by Jesus in our box. I kind of do get the feeling after seeing that and then the performance we put in after that a draw was a fair result. I mean, do you agree, Sim?
I think a draw was, on the balance of the chances both teams created, the draw was probably a fair result. But I would probably say that if I was to analyze the game from a Tottenham point of view, I think we were better than them on the day. I don't think it was even. I actually think we were better. And I'll tell you why, because both teams, right, are playing a certain brand of football to try and keep possession, keep the ball, outpass the opposition. And that's their philosophies of both teams. And we were the team on the day, after both halves, after 90 minutes. We had more possession, we had more passes. I think the shots on goal was the same, but we were the away team. I think in terms of big chances created, I think we were just ahead as well. And apart from that spell, of like 20, 30 minutes maybe in the first half where, we were under the cosh and Arsenal were putting us under a lot of pressure. I think we were the better team. Even in that spell late in the game, where Arsenal were probably putting us under a lot of pressure with some corners, we also hit back with some counter punches and we had some late chances as well. All this talk, by the way, of Arsenal having a better first half and stuff, we had as many chances as them in that first half. Everyone talks about this Jesus chance, but if Raya doesn't make one of the best saves of the season, we could also win that game. So you could also have it both ways. Everyone is talking about if Jesus puts it away, but we could also say the same thing with Johnson. And if you come away from that first half, Johnson's had 2 chances and we've scored, and they've had a couple chances and they've scored as well, and they scored with an own goal. So I think when you take into account that we went there to play our football after 6 games of playing the Ange Postecoglou way, and Arsenal have had 4 years under Mikel Arteta to develop their system, develop their philosophy, and all the players have had time to get up to speed. Like 4 years basically to get up to speed with the way they want to play. We went there and we outpassed them and we kept more possession. That was not part of the game plan for Arsenal. The game plan, yeah, look, if like last season, right? Maybe if we under Antonio Conte, if we go there and we have less possession, that's understandable because that's part of the game plan. We're not going to Arsenal to try and keep possession. So at the end, so you can maybe come away from those stats and say, yeah, we had less possession, but that's probably the game plan. So that makes sense. Arsenal don't come away from this game yesterday saying, oh, we had less possession, but it doesn't matter because that was the game plan. We outpassed them. We kept the ball better than them. That is the reality of the situation. And we played the better football on the day. I don't like we created. I know the chance from Jorginho was a mistake, but the way we were getting into their final third was through our possession-based football and playing through the lines. The way Arsenal, a lot of their chances were coming were from mistakes. And I know the goal we got was from mistake, but that wasn't the majority of our chances, unlike Arsenal. So for me, I did think we were the better team. I think if anyone deserved to win it, it was probably Spurs. But on the balance of maybe the chances both teams missed, you can maybe argue that a draw was a fair result. But for me, I think we played better, and I think we deserve a lot of plaudits.
You know what I love? Go on, sorry. Lee. Go on. No, you go.
Just to comment on that, I know you love your comparisons, boys, to last year. We had 35% possession at the Emirates last season when we lost 3-1. And you could argue that we were down to 10 men early doors or whatever, but we actually only had 7 shots in total. We had 13 shots this time. They had 22 shots last season. They were absolutely pounding us. Let's be honest about it. And they're all looking at these stats and they're thinking, yeah, we could just go and do that again. And they didn't do it again because we've got big Ange Postecoglou and we played Ange ball. And they were like, hang on a minute, what is happening here? And for large parts of the game, Sim, as you just said, they couldn't handle us. They actually couldn't. Where's Odegaard? He gets booked. Didn't see him after that. And just coming back on what you said earlier, Irish Hotspur, what you said earlier about Doggy, absolutely outstanding after he got booked. I mean, what an unbelievable performance considering the fact that he also got booked as well. So I do subscribe to that, Sim, as well. I do think we played better, but I just do think on the balance of play, 2-2 at Desmond is probably the right call.
I think not only a Doggy, but Bissouma as well. After he booked, just grew and grew and grew into the game.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
I think the biggest thing I take away from it is in years gone by with the old leadership group and the players that have been here for quite some time, over a decade, with stale sort of mentalities, they would have reverted to type and just shut up shop and try and damage limitation. But the fact that, we've now got a young, hungry squad, that's why we have that bounce back ability. We came back twice, in the North London Derby, but we've also come back against who were the teams we came back
Burnley,
against? Sheffield United, Burnley, other teams that have scored first against us. We have that bounce back ability now. And a lot of that, I think, is also down to the new leadership group, the fact that the mentality of it, the old leadership group in that game, they would have pulled people back into safe positions, etc. The new leadership group is still encouraging everyone to do things the right way. Like Romero, still trying to persist and play out from the back. And I think that's the biggest reason why we're getting these results this year is that back line. You look at someone like Vicario last year in both North London derbies, Lloris cost us them. Twice he went long with balls. When defence tried to pass it back to him to relieve a bit of pressure, they turned it over, scored off it. The one before that was a poor save that went underneath him that Gabriel Jesus tapped home. You look at Venom Vicario pulled off 2 massive saves, or 1 massive save against Gabriel Jesus, but also how good he is with the ball. Very rarely went long in that game. Constantly tried to do the right thing, playing out from the back. You got Van de Ven and Adoji being able to deal with that Saka threat down that side, where in years gone by, he's absolutely destroyed us. When he was up against Session, ran at him, shot, Lloris parried it into his own goal. He's been up against Ben Davies and people like that before. And now, where a lot of these clubs, and it could be the same this weekend against Liverpool with Mo Salah, where they were getting a lot of joy against us before, that's no longer happening. The fact that we've now improved the goalkeeper and the back line, we're now turning where we would have got defeats before into draws, and draws where we would have got before into wins. And I think the back line is what I come out more satisfied about, as well as the bounce back ability with the new leadership. That's what got us over the line in that game.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just like in previous years, if you would have seen what happened in those first 20 minutes with the mistakes that we were making, with the pressure that we were coming under, any other Spurs team in the last 2-3 years would have just laid down and probably lost that game 2-3-0, reverted into their shells. But we have the kind of just bravery, the bravery that we had to just keep going, keep playing our football, keep trying to play out the back. And we got the rewards for it in the end. But my favorite thing about that game was every single time I've gone to the Emirates now, probably for the past 5-6 years, their stadium has been absolutely rocking. Absolutely rocky. You can't even hear the Spurs fans from the majority of the game. I didn't hear a peep out of them for pretty much from the 20th minute onwards. That stadium, you could hear a pin drop from the home fans, and all you could hear was the away fans. And I think that was very telling because they are usually very loud against us. And we shut them up. We shut them up on their own patch. And because they were so confident, so cocky, so arrogant coming into the game, they thought no chance in hell can any team come to the Emirates and try and play football and get a result without getting turned over. And we basically shut them up on the day. And I was loving every second of it.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear.
Sorry. Sorry, buddy. I was going to say you are part. The team is a reflection of the manager, and it's so interesting to see Conte, the way Antonio was, the way we were with Antonio. Let's have it right. We were loving Antonio when he got us into that top four. That some of that counter-attacking football, smashing Norwich 5-0, smashing Villa 4-0, Leeds 4-0. We were playing some, smashing Newcastle, was it 5-1? We were doing some proper damage in that first season of Conte, and we were absolutely loving it. It got us into the top four. But we were the fans, the players were a reflection of the manager. High tempo, high energy, high maintenance, if I can say that. And now you've got Ange here, who's completely calm. He's on the Emirates. Everyone's like blowing up, fires going off all over the gaff. He's got his hands in his pockets, lads. It's like, you're all right, how you getting on, mate? And it's just, and now we're playing calm. It's no panic. And Arteta, the reason why they panic and this is what they're doing. And Arteta is that, isn't he? Like crying on the side, whatever he's doing. At some point, he was getting involved in the play. Like when the ball was in play, he was almost screaming at the players, like right on the pitch and stuff. And it's like, that's what Conte used to do. So you start to reflect that. So I do find that quite interesting. And by the way, I'm not on your show a lot at all. And I know you guys go to all of the away games. I get to some of them where we met, as you know, at Wolves. But always, lads, always the away fans are absolutely magnificent. They are outstanding. Everywhere I go, where I've been, they've just been magnificent. And if we're watching at home on TV or wherever, you can always hear the away fans, lads. So yeah, big up the away fans, man.
Yeah, and I also want to say for Arsenal, like a lot of the Arsenal fans blaming like injuries for this result and the performance. But at the end of the day, like Rice comes off at half time and Jorginho comes on. Who signed Jorginho? That was Mikel Arteta who signed Jorginho in January. Who signed Kai Havertz for 65 million? That was Mikel Arteta. Who signed Jesus, who played on the left? That was Arteta. Reece Nelson is on the bench, who he gave a new contract to in the summer. That was Mikel Arteta. So I don't want to hear from Arsenal fans, oh, it was injuries, it was this and that. When that is his team, that is Arteta. That is you. You can't separate yourselves from these players that they were using because Arteta was the one who signed him. The difference is, let's say, if Romero, Van de Ven, or Udogie got injured, right, and Dyer and Davis comes in, that's different because Postecoglou didn't sign those players. Those aren't Postecoglou's players. If he has to use them, it's because it's not his fault. He has to use those players. That's just the hand he's dealt. But Arteta, the only players he used are the ones he signed, so he trusts them. They're his players. So I don't want to hear.
Are you allowed to swear on your shows?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, you just swore. You said Dyer and Davis.
My apologies for my language. Let's hope we have to never have to see this.
What's your language?
But I'm just saying, like, I don't want to hear these excuses, like, from Arsenal fans, like when Arteta's the one who's brought these players in, and now they're complaining that he has to use them. That's not an excuse. You have to blame the manager for that. That's not an excuse for not getting the result. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely spot on.
I'd argue they're not as good as everyone makes them out to be anyway. If you want, last year, name me another time where Tottenham, Liverpool, Man United, who also fell off, didn't really get it going to the end of the season, Chelsea as well, where a lot of teams have fallen away from that top four. That's why they were catapulted into a title race. Now that the likes of Tottenham are back, Liverpool are back. Now you're seeing the real Arsenal. And yes, it reminds me a lot of what we were like under Conte last year, where we were getting the results. And a lot of us were like, oh, eventually it's going to click. And it never did. And I think they're in for the same sort of season this season. Now that other teams are back, it's a different Premier League to what it was last season. So this season will be a true barometer of how good they actually are.
And also another point
for almighty humbling, those Arsenal fans, and I'm here for it.
And also another point I want to make to Arsenal fans about they're all saying like, oh, if Jesus puts that chance away, it's 2-0 and that changes the game. At the end of the day, Jesus, everyone knows Jesus is not a good finisher. Jesus misses so many big chances. He's the most inconsistent finisher in the Premier League amongst the top 6. And that's the difference when you've got someone like Jesus in that position and you've got Son in pretty much the same position in the second half, and he's a cool finisher, puts into the far corner because he's one of the best finishers in the Premier League. And those things make a difference. So they can't use that excuse, oh, if he puts it away, it's 2-0, it's a different game. Well, he didn't put it away because he's not a good finisher. It's more often than not in those positions, Jesus will fluff his lines. And we've seen that time and time again. And more often than not in those positions, Son is going to put it away. And that's what makes the difference between Son and Jesus in those positions. So again, I don't want to hear these excuses.
Dave, just quickly to come back, Ben, if I can, with Dave. You just mentioned about kind of Liverpool being back and whatever. Points so far in the 2023 calendar, so the calendar year. Man City 71, whatever, whatever. Arsenal, elite Arsenal, absolutely God-given right to win everything. Elite Arsenal, 55. Liverpool, 55. Aston Villa, 55. Brighton Hove Albion, 53. Manchester United, 52. So just drink that in for a second, right? The reality of the situation is Liverpool, Villa, and even Brighton have got the same amount of points of Arsenal have won in 2023. So they're on a decline, aren't they, boys? They're on a decline, man.
100%.
100% they're on the
downfall is coming.
But I got to give props to you, Dave. You were the only one, you and Paul from Hippie Hotspur, that wanted Ange Postecoglou from the beginning and backed him right from the beginning. Basically, as soon as we were looking for a manager in the summer, you were like, Ange. Yeah. And no one wanted to buy into what you were saying. So big up to you, Dave. Unbelievable.
No, look, I appreciate it. Look, I only know of him because I followed what he'd done at Celtic and I seen the massive job that he'd done there. And I just knew if he could bring that to Tottenham with a lot of the new signings we had, and I knew with his style of football, a lot of the older players would have had to be shipped out. And I had many nights trying to convince you on him, Ben, late at night showing you a message or two, trying to, get you behind him. But look, I'll be honest, I did think there was going to be a bit of a bedding in period. At Celtic, there was, right? They end up going out of the Champions League in the first season. They end up the first 5 games weren't great at Celtic. And a lot of Celtic fans were up in arms because a lot of the media were making fun of Ange Postecoglou when he first signed there. They were making fun of Celtic, for that appointment. But it was ultimately Celtic and Ange Postecoglou that had the last laugh. And once it clicked, he went on to dominate. He didn't do the treble in the first season, but that's what inspired him for the second season. And he went on to do that then in the second season. He's an absolute brilliant man manager. And what he actually does is he uses all the negatives as a positive within the dressing room and lays that down as the challenge and then gets people to rise to it. And he's an absolute superb manager at doing it.
Well, go on, Sam.
Go on. I was just going to say, in terms of like what you were saying, Dave, about you were surprised maybe that there hasn't been a bump in the road yet. I just think that's a testament maybe to the quality of our first 11 right now. Look, we haven't had many injuries. and we've been lucky with that. But I think it's gone under the radar from a lot of fans, rival fans anyway, that our first 11 has got a lot of ability, like underrated ability. And I think it's a testament to how quickly they've been able to take Ange Postecoglou's instructions and play out on the pitch. And the fact they've got up to speed so quickly, because, you know, if we had Dyer in that team, playing every week, or Højbjerg, or other players that are in our squad right now, if they were in our first 11 for these first 6 games, we wouldn't be seeing these results. So I think it's a testament to the team that Postecoglou has got in such an early time period.